Hey, everybody. It is Nolan Walker here with Roofers Paradise. We've got Otis Floyd here from Paramount Roofing and Consulting out of Douglasville, Georgia. Hey there, Otis.
Hey, how you doing, Nolan? How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. So as I was telling you just a second ago, this show to me is all about dreams. I call it Roofers Paradise because I've always been trying to get there, man. I don't know where the promised land is, but I've been trying to get there. And I've done better, Otis, the older I've gotten. I've got my own story, but yours was fascinating to me. I liked the way you were speaking when we first talked. I liked the story of being an insurance adjuster for 12 years. I like it when somebody goes, and then I asked you, you've only been like a year and a half, right? You've been working your own roofing business about a year and a half now?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yes, you already had like 120 Google reviews. I asked you how it was going. You said, I'd never look back. I'd never do it again.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind sharing some of your story, and you were just talking, I asked you about the jersey. You played professional ball for, you said 11 years?
Yeah, so the jersey behind me is for the University of Louisville, the Welcome L's. So I went to got a scholarship from Ron Cooper to go to University of Louisville back in '95, and had a good college career. Then went straight to Canada, to the Canadian Football League, the CFL. Made a name for myself the first year, and then got a shot to the Redskins, and wow. That was fun, interesting, but ultimately, my professional career was in Canada for 11 years. Like I said, we won 2 championships, won Defensive Player of the Year, and probably about 5, 6 All-Stars. So I had a great career, and it taught me how to be a professional.
You worked hard, right? You worked hard, and you fought for goals and dreams of your own.
Yes.
I don't know. For me, so you went through when you go through college ball like that, are you kind of forced to get a degree just for the nature of going through college ball and then do all that, or?
No, yeah, I ended up getting a degree in 4 years in criminal justice.
Okay.
So I did get my degree. I made my mom happy.
Yeah.
But I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew since high school, I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
That's why I brought it up. So, I mean, I always felt bad, Otis. I was raised kind of well, I guess, overall, but things changed. Things always change, right? Things changed. And I thought I was going to go to college, but I didn't end up going. And I don't know, that it's, I used to be self-conscious about it. I used to feel bad about it. But when I was in 5th grade, they asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I asked my mom, I said, what would I be if I wanted to own a plant nursery because I liked plants, little kid, a restaurant, and real estate. And I said, what would I be called if I wanted to do all that? And she said, well, you'd be an entrepreneur. I had to learn how to spell it. And everybody's walking across the stage going, I want to be a homemaker, astronaut, football player, lawyer, doctor. And then my last name's Walker. So I was one of the last ones to walk across stage. And I'm a little kid, but I was always kind of ready to fight. I was always, always kind of on edge, and they all started laughing, all these parents and grandparents. And I remember being a little kid angry, like, I'll show them, I was just crying mad at it when I walked across because they laughed at me. But, and then somewhere, I like talking about this kind of stuff because I think somewhere you said you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur by high school, but somewhere when you're young, that stuff kind of disappears. And most of us, me included, kind of get bought into the propagandas, like, I got to get a job, I got to go to college, I got to go do all this stuff. And if I don't, somehow I'm not successful. You actually got a degree. I didn't finish, I just didn't finish. I paid and bumped along. I think I got like 2.5 years. I got like 75, 80 hours of college, something like that.
Yeah, really a degree is just saying that you could comprehend. That's all.
Right. You can comprehend.
You can comprehend.
So you went to work for somebody after ball playing was over, and you're an insurance adjuster for 12 years, right?
Yeah. So the story is after I finished playing ball, like I said, always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I couldn't wait until I was finished playing football. I wasn't one of those guys who wanted to hold on to it forever. I knew it wasn't something that I was going to do forever. I was ready to get on with, starting a business, anything like that. So fresh out of so-called retiring, I opened up a trucking company called Floyd Transportation.
Cool.
So I did that, and this opened up at the wrong time. We did it for like a year and a half. Didn't go well.
I've always heard it's a tough business, man. Like they control how much money you can make basically when you're working for these big companies, right? Pushing out any kind of delivery.
Yeah. So they do kind of control how much money, but I bought a $200,000 truck, my own authority. So I never ran up under anybody. I ran my own authority, but at that time it was 2010, 2011, and fuel prices was out the wazoo, and it just didn't make sense. So I knew a buddy who I was playing with. He retired and he was doing well for himself, and I asked him, I said, man, what you doing? He told me he was an insurance adjuster. Right. And he's like, once you come to Kentucky with me, it was a freeze that happened, I think, in 2011 or 2012. And I went up there, and I something I could do. So I went and studied, took all the courses. While I was driving the truck, also, I was, because we worked teams. When I wasn't driving, I was studying how to become an adjuster, everything. And took the test, man, and it paid off. It paid off, like you said, 11 years. 11, 12 years of being an adjuster, and worked my ranks up to being a manager, a trainer, and really love the craft. I did. I took it seriously.
One thing about it always is interesting to me is like people look at me where I am or someone else where they are, and they say, wow, I wish I could be like Otis. I wish I could be like Nolan. Like, how'd that guy know what to do? It's like, man, I didn't know. It just took a long time to get here. You worked. If you'd have known right out of playing ball, you would have just jumped in and been a roofer. You would have mentored under somebody. They would have taken you under their wing. Otis, come here. Let me show you how to make $1 million a year. I'm going to teach you everything.
Yeah.
And you would have started up, but you started and did what you could and then learned. And that's how I've gotten here too. I look back over my shoulder and said, man, if I would have started, this earlier or that earlier, I'd have been so much more successful that quickly, but it takes time, man.
But what I tell people, I wouldn't know if I would be this successful if I did that. If I went up under somebody else and taught me the roofing game. I think the path that I took as an adjuster, it taught me discipline. It taught me how to be organized. It taught me, how to talk to customers. It taught me, just the paperwork. I call it the paperwork game, how to be able to turn your paperwork over fast. Because as an adjuster, the faster you turn over your paperwork, the quicker you get paid. So all those skills I learned as an adjuster and customer service, I implemented into my roofing company. And if I went straight from playing ball, mentored under somebody who was a roofer, I don't know if we had the same work ethic or the same mind thought as how he run this company on how I want to run my company. Yeah, so
I don't think guys that are entrepreneurs want to do paperwork, Otis. I don't think any of us want to do paperwork. And you kind of were military type they just making you do paperwork for a decade.
Yes. Yes, for a decade with State Farm. So it was extra paperwork.
Extra paperwork. So that was something that was different about talking with you too. For one thing, it sounds like you've done a ton of roofs in 18 months straight up out the gate. Yes. You are job costing, which is unusual, right? You're doing all this job costing, and the way you were speaking was just a little bit different. When you know exactly how much you're going to make on a job when you bid it, I guess, right?
Yeah. I most definitely run my numbers. I most definitely run my numbers, and I understood that I had to hit a certain percentage or I won't do the job.
So how many roofs will you bid that you get? Like, what's your close percentage on that? Because I'm assuming you're not.
So my close percentage is pretty good. I believe it's pretty high. If the homeowner allowed me to speak with them, and they listen, because we come with not just let me do an inspection on your roof and give you a quote. I come with a whole package. I come with a folder with our logo and brand on it, with all our accolades on it. And then within the folder, I have a copy of my insurance, all my credentials, insurance, let them know that we licensed, let them know that we certified with GAF. And I got a reference list also. And then, so I put anything that they're going to question what this company have, I have it in the folder form.
Right.
And then I come and I don't try to sell them. I tell my guys, let's not be salesmen. Let's just educate the homeowner and let the homeowner make their decision.
Right. I like that approach, by the way. I'm not pushy with people. I never have. You said you'd watched a podcast I did, which is Don't Effing Patronize Me. Like I can't stand it. And this is a little different, but when a salesperson comes in and they start pushing and they start assuming, I don't like it, or they've got a predetermined plan. But if someone's just professional and knows their craft, people feel comfortable. You don't have to,
Yeah, because when you become a salesman, you're pushing a person, you're not listening to the customer. Right. And a lot of things that customers say that, you're the third guy who came over and everybody was talking real fast. They didn't listen to me and you guys wasn't pushy. And they just like our whole presentation. And that's how I actually won a few jobs when a homeowner had a referral from a family or friend for another roofing company. And they just called me just to compare, the quotes or the estimate, and they ended up going with me. And I asked them, like, why did you choose me over a referral from a family or friend? And they'll tell us.
Nolan Walker here for Roofers Paradise. So I'm looking for podcast guests for Roofers Paradise, and I'd like to hear from you. If you're a roofer or somebody in the industry that's looking to talk about their product, I'd like to hear from you. If you're a roofer and you want to tell your story, I'd love to speak with you. Also, we will blog and put a link back to your website, give you a little juice. It'll help you out. And it'd be great for you to get on here and tell your story and just to have it recorded. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Look us up on roofersparadise.show, email us, and we'll call you back.
So let's stop here and talk about it for a minute, because I feel like this is why I'm successful. So you come off, you've got good energy. You're extremely knowledgeable, you're authentic, you're sincere, and people like it. It's hard not to like that. Now, they might not be friends with me or you outside of that work relationship, or they may be. It's irrelevant because that guy's on point. He's not trying to trick or fool me. He's extremely knowledgeable. Yeah. And I personally think, Otis, that's the thing you can't teach yourself. People ask me, well, how did I've been trying to train salespeople for years, and it finally dawned on me one day. It's like, you can't train that aspect of something, you just can't train that into somebody. Somebody's got to want to do that,
Yeah, they do.
So I got a question on that. Just let's stay. Do you plan on always selling? Do you have estimators with you? Do you plan on training people? Like, what's your plan for that, like long term?
Well,
nobody's going to be as good as you,
That is true, but it is getting to a point where I do have to appoint other people to do things for me, But as far as the estimating, I had companies that I did use at one point that do my estimates for me, but none of them could turn over the paperwork as fast as I could. And that was the only thing that I didn't like, because anytime dealing with the insurance company, you already got to wait, 2-3 weeks or whatever the case may be. And, I understand how to get that depreciation a little bit faster because I was on the other end. Right. So I sent over my estimate, then I'm making a call the next day, to that adjuster or sending an email. And, but it is going to be a time where I will have to appoint somebody to do estimating, and that's fine. That's a good thing to have.
It is. Plenty of guys do it, Otis. It's just that they don't, it's tough if you got 10 leads and you're going to close 6 of them and some other guy's going to close 3, and you got to pay him to do it. So that's the tough part where it comes in. You just got to get really good people. Maybe you'll be good at managing people and doing that, but I know that's where it gets a little more difficult. And I think that a lot of business owners, I've made this mistake for so long. You hire people and you want them to manage and be as good as you. And I think that I always had made a mistake that a manager isn't an entrepreneur.
No.
The owner, the entrepreneur, wants other people to act like an owner, but they're never going to. It doesn't mean you can't get a good manager, but the manager has to be managed by the entrepreneur,
100%. And that's what I learned by playing professional football, because you deal with 30 to 40 different personalities, right? Not everybody has that same personality, but you could get the same results out of them. So when guys looked at me as, a leader on the team, especially on the defensive side, and I knew one guy I could bark at. When I say bark, I could, jump down his throat and he's going to rise up to the occasion. I knew another guy, I couldn't do that because he'd go into a shell. So that really taught me to really look at people and analyze and see what's their personality. And then I handle them that way. And so even with my small team that I got now, sales guys, I know who I could push to get it out of them, and I know who I got to stroke to get it out of them.
So, yeah, it's interesting. So are you knocking doors, or how are y'all getting leads right now? It sounds like you got a crew of estimators, so y'all got to be doing something. So
when we first started, it was 100% door knocking.
Okay.
And I told my guys, I said, look, this is going to turn. I said, right now, it's going to be 100% door knocking. And then from there, it's going to go to probably like 80-20, 20% going to start becoming referrals. And I said, just stick with it. And I said, after the referrals, once we get with Google, we're going to start getting leads. So I pretty much shoot all my guys the leads. I don't really take no leads for myself. Only thing I take for myself if it's a referral from me. Any leads to come in from Google, I just spread it out through my guys to make them happy. And then once they're in the neighborhood, that's when I tell them to door knock, or when we put up the job to door knock.
Just around the job. I think that's that's some sharp advice there, even coming from me on marketing. I first off, everybody would assume I don't like door knocking because I own a digital marketing agency, but I love door knocking. Mm-hmm. I'm a business guy first, so I think door knocking is brilliant, but it's not the best long-term strategy, because you're a tough guy that has a lot of energy, but you won't always be that guy. You'll get older and it'll be tougher for you to get out there and rally these troops and get them door knocking. Not that you won't always do it, but it'll be harder. So you build that brand up, and then the leads come in a little bit, like you said, and then you get a branded presence and you get online. And eventually you're right, that'll flip-flop to be 80% leads and 20% knocking.
And that's how it is right now. It's about 80% lead, 20% knocking now for the guys.
Oh, wow.
So I teased them. I said, look, man, I done spoiled y'all. Y'all don't even knock doors no more. And they just laugh. But that's was my vision.
So where did that come from so quickly? Referral or
so
where?
It came from referral, because we have a referral program where we give out $250 for referrals. So once we tell a homeowner that, they all on board. Everybody looking to make some money on the side right now during this pandemic.
They're going on Nextdoor and talking about you and stuff like that.
Everything, Well, I had one customer, she started walking her neighborhood, knocking doors, because she wanted that $250 referral. Yes. Wow. So that really worked out. And what else? It just
you got wrap trucks, signs, and wrap trucks, and put signs in the yards, all that?
Yes. I got a wrap van, a fully wrapped van that have free inspection. Our logo ran across it with the phone number, and that really helped out too. We got a couple good jobs because they seen the van that was wrapped, and also when we in the neighborhood doing a roof, I have a special flyer. And this is not a door hanger. It's an actual flyer that I had typed up that said, Hi, we're Paramount Roofing. We are in the neighborhood servicing the community. We know a lot of storms came through. Please take advantage of the free inspection.
Right.
And then with me, I could write down how much. I could look at the roof and say, okay, this roof might cost $8,000 to $10,000. And then I have on the side where say estimate for roof, estimate for gutters, cleaning gutters. And I got a sticky. I don't put it in a mailbox. I stick it to the side of the garage, or I stick it on a window. So now they got to see it when they pulling up to the house.
Right. Yeah, I like the, one thing that strikes me about you is that you've been working hard no matter what you've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you work hard enough to get into pro ball, and then you work hard for years. You went way longer than most guys do there, where you're pushing it, fighting, probably lifting weights and eating right and doing all kinds of stuff just to stay healthy. And now you push through. So I got a question on the job that you had on the adjuster. Do you work harder now or about the same? Like, were you working like just as far as a man working? Is it similar, or what's different?
Well, I don't call it working now, because
True.
you know what I'm saying?
I know what
I
you're saying.
I wake up like, let's get it. It's like I'm hustling. I
Right.
love it. When I was doing my as an adjuster, it's really the same amount. When I was an adjuster, I used to get up and be on my first roof at like 6:30, 7 a.m. And sometimes I might run 5, 6 claims and won't be finished with my paperwork till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So really I was actually working harder as an adjuster.
So I think this makes it look like, guys, so like I work hard. I've always worked. I only had 2 jobs. I worked at a Mexican food restaurant. I was a horrible waiter. I did that for like 3 or 4 months. And then I worked at Montgomery Ward's, if you remember that. And
I remember Montgomery Ward's,
in Electric Avenue there. I remember I attended a meeting one time, a board, and they're like, I was like 16. They called us in and they said, we got to have a meeting. This new thing called Best Buy is, really dipping into our sales. So we need you guys to bring it, and I'm like selling computers, but those are only 2 things I ever did, but I always worked hard. I think you make it look a little bit easy to somebody looking in. I see guys all the time, and they don't bring to the table what you're bringing. Now, I see people go into business, but they're not willing to stand up and knock a door all day long if they need to, or they're not willing to rally the troops, and they call up and go, they're just hoping that people are going to bring stuff to them. And it's not, I mean, you're just, guys.
I'm going to be honest. Knocking doors is not my strongest point. I'm a good wingman.
But you're doing it. But you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm a great wingman. I have a guy named Curtis. He's Curtis, 61 years old. But Curtis used to sell women's hair products. So he's a great door-to-door. He's a great sales guy. And I really taught him and educated him on the game of roofing. So he easily knocked the door, and I just come up behind him with all the knowledge and show him. And he regurgitated everything that he seen me say. So now he's a great roof sales guy, but door-to-door knocking, he's an animal. Yeah.
So I walked in the door the other day. I talked, my wife get tired of hearing me talk, because I'm about to be 50 this year, and she don't want to hear about my business anymore. But I told her, I came in, I said, well, baby, I did it again. I got it going again. And because you're always, as a business guy, you're always looking over your shoulder. Like, I'm always like, hey, who's going to take me out? What's going to take me out? I got to get to the next step. And you may not be the best door knocker, but you show up for the fight. And you don't win every single fight, but you show up for every fight, so like, and you don't have to participate in every single fight, meaning every technique, everything. You don't have to be the best at every skill set or do every marching technique or whatever it is, but you've got to show up and do it or try. And then you show up and fight the fights you can and do the best you can. Like, if I didn't do like this podcast, for example, I cannot lay down and just roll over and not handle business. And even though you're not the best at it, you show up and do it. And you show up with energy. Like, I'm going to try the best I can and do the best I can. And at me almost 50 now, I self-proclaimed, I kind of become the GOAT in my own, I mean, it's tough to beat me because I've been marketing since print and, you know, direct mail and radio and stuff all the way through to digital, and you just don't stop. And the longer you go and the more you learn, the better you get. And you kill it eventually. You know, people like, how do you do all this? It was like, man, I showed up to all the fights. I do the best I can. I wake up in the morning, I kill it. Sometimes I don't feel good, but I work, you know? So what drives you? So like, I always get into this with people, like, what do you want to do in like 15 years? Like I go all the way down the road to like me dying at 95 years old, picking a piece of fruit off of an orchard in Maui that I have. So what do you think about, you know, when you're like, I don't know, you know, what's the end game goal?
Yeah. So the end game for me is real estate.
Okay.
Yeah. The end game
I don't think there's a better end game goal, Otis. I don't think there is another one if you want to retire in style, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always, when I was younger, I mean, probably 10, 11 years old, I always knew I wanted to own real estate. Right. My father said, he mentioned it to me one time that he had a friend that owned 100 properties and he never worked. He just, he works on his properties, but he goes around.
Not the same.
Yeah. And when I heard that, something clicked and resonated with me right then and there. I said, man, I want to do real estate. So I do have some properties, but my end goal with Paramount Roofing is to flourish my real estate company. Well, my real estate company as far as investment properties and things of that nature, you know, multifamily units and using that money to buy more properties.
So just in case, I'll go and repeat it. It's Paramount Roofing and Consulting out of Douglasville, Georgia. I talked to guys, I don't think there is another plan. Most of us business guys, I'm not going to say all of us, but almost all of us like real estate more than stocks because it's something we can control. You guys, roofers in particular, are contractors, so you can go buy a house that smells like cat urine and that needs a roof put on, and you got that handled, and you got your sweat equity. Yes. And you step into a little bit better situation than most people would. I love real estate for it. I will tell you that I've watched a lot of business people make it, and most they'll be broken. And when a businessman is at the end of his rope and his days of earning income are over, because whether we like it or not, you're earning income, I'm earning income, and that's a problem. You know, most rich people, super wealthy people, they got capital gains tax, you know, stock tax, real estate tax. They got all kinds of write-offs and depreciation, interest depreciation. I mean, just everything, right? They got all sorts of write-offs. So when someone makes money on real estate, they might not pay any taxes at all for a very long time on that piece of property, if ever. And then when they sell it, they get to 1031 exchange the profits into another property. All these little tax loopholes made by the politicians that govern our butts, you know, so that they don't have to pay taxes. You get to participate in, right?
Exactly.
Most business people that I see, when they're done, they didn't put away as much income as they wanted to, or as much stocks, but they have their real estate left, you know?
That's pretty much my goal. And I have a great mentorship in that category who really I'm blessed to have. And he's my cousin. So cool. He's very successful in the real estate game.
Nolan Walker here for Roofing Webmasters. You may not know, but I own a digital marketing agency named Roofing Webmasters. We've been doing this for 12 years. I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of roofers. We've got hundreds of satisfied clients right now, and we'd love to add you to our client mix. I tell you what, we'll help you with your design, your content, your code base, your SEO, your ranking on Google, your map ranking, all that stuff. We also have software called DataPens that we wrap into it. We are one of the only legit agencies out there that actually help people. Everybody that we have is month to month for a monthly fee on an ongoing basis. You'll get an assigned account rep, and our team of 15 people will help you get as dominant as we can. If you've never had proper digital marketing agency support, you owe it to yourself to call us at Roofing Webmasters or email. Look us up online, roofingwebmasters.com, and give us a call when you're ready. In the real estate game, it'll turn around quicker than you think. When you start, I was telling my kids this the other day. My daughter's like, well, how do I get started? She's 15. I've got a daughter that's 15, one that's 16. And she said, Dad, how do I get started? I said, well, you're going to get started. It's okay to get a JOB for just a little bit, but I don't want you to stay in a JOB.
Yeah, exactly.
And nowadays, people might find this a little surprising, but I was self-conscious about the college deal for a long time. And at some point in time, I'm like, man, I did the right thing, you know?
Yeah.
It took me a while, but my kids, you know how crazy everything seems nowadays. We don't have to go down that road on the podcast, but my kids are like, do I need to go to college? I'm like, no, you don't need to go to college.
Yeah. And I'm the same way with mine. I got a 1-year-old and I got an 11-year-old. And really, I'm not going to push college on them because I don't want them to come out 4 or 5 years with $200,000 in debt. You know, one of them get a scholarship to play sports or something, that's fine. But I really want them to learn a skill. I really want them to learn entrepreneurship, you know, taxes, you know, how to invest. Yeah. That's, you know, real life thing. Like me and my wife was talking the other day and was like, I never used algebra in my whole adult life. I never used trigonometry. Like
physics.
Yeah, I never used that in my whole adult life, and you know we good. And my wife, she audit financial institutions, and she like, I don't use algebra or trig either. So really, I'm not gonna push my kids to go to college. I think that was a old thing that our parents really wanted. Because they never had the opportunity to go. So they want to just do the best for their kids and have them an opportunity to go to college. But now that we had that opportunity, we see, and I got friends who went to college for 4 or 5 years and got $200,000 in debt, you know, and I have friends who went straight to what we call Votech in Detroit. And now they own their own business because it was a trade school. And they doing great without $100,000.
Someone mentioned something like trade school, and it makes them think that it's low class or something, but it's not. You know, I got a 13-year-old or 12-year-old boy turns 13 next month. And you know what I bought for him? 3,200 PSI pressure washer, and he's out pressure washing my driveway. And he's thrilled, man. He can barely hold on to it, but he's out there kind of doing it. And then we're going to do a little next door ad. And my wife's going to take him around one day a week to pressure wash a driveway. I started out painting curbs, mowing lawns. But my dad's a CPA, but he's a CPA, never made any money like I make, you know, never made any money as a CPA. You're still a you're professional, but you're for hire. And it's tough to, I tell you one thing, Otis, I tell my kids, it's like, there's two things you're going to do to make money. And you're either going to have residual income or sell a big ticket item. One or the other. You better sell something big, like flip a house, sell a roof. Or you better go do something that has a residual income benefit, or you're not going to make any money, really. You know,
you're not. You're going to be a rat race.
You're going to rat race it. So I do have a daughter that's going to go to college, but she's 16. She's an extremely high level cheerleader. So, and by the way, she's thinking about going to Kentucky because you may know that they're number one at cheer.
They always had a good cheering team, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky or maybe Weber, little school out of Weber out of Utah, but they're always neck and neck for cheer. But she'll end up with a degree because she has to do the classes to stay in cheer. But so that, and my other daughter was asking me, I said, well, it's going to start out kind of slow. You're going to get to working, and then you'll go buy your first property with a FHA or 5% down, because and then you'll be able to get that one cheap. And then it'll look slow, but within about 10 years, you'll look back and go, how did I get this rich? Because you're going to have property appreciation, rental rate increase appreciation. You're going to have equity in these houses. You're going to have tax write-offs.
And then you're going to have these properties you already bought, buying more properties, as long as you don't raise your standard of living too much in the beginning.
That's key right there.
I just told them I'd give them a place. Daddy will help you. I'll help set everything up, and I'll give you a place to lay your head on a pillow. And I don't want you going out having to start getting a bunch of expenses going. Take that first time. As long as you're not coming home, on drugs or drunk or something, you can just live your life. And as long as you're not too lazy, sit there and work. And then that's my plan with them. But you're thinking of something similar?
Yeah, no, 100%, because it seems like your kids have a great advantage over other kids because they have a father in the household, and that's kind of guiding them through the way. And that's what I had. I had the advantage. I had my father, still got my father, and he just taught me hard work. He taught me to be a man of my word. And like every Saturday, he used to wake me up, and we had to go to his properties, work on, he was a pipe fitter for Ford. So he was a man who could do anything with his hands. So we used to be at the house, in the attics, fixing pipes, sweating pipes, cleaning up, doing everything. He taught me how to be an entrepreneur. He taught me how to, about real estate. He taught me about credit. This was like at 10 years old, all the way until a grown man.
About it all the time.
Yeah. He taught me how to write a check. He taught me real life situations on how to survive. And that's really a advantage that I had amongst my peers, that my father and, my mother too, but me idolizing, looking up to my father every day, and him just never steering me the wrong way, really excelled me past where I probably should have been. But it's a beautiful thing when you could be that role model, that person that your kids look up to, and understand that whatever my father tell me, that is going to be 100% correct, better for myself. He's doing everything he says is to help me, to better me, never to, steer me the wrong way. And I had that throughout my youth and until still to this day. So no, your kids they got a great advantage, and that's what I'm gonna provide for my kids, the same things, the exact same thing. So
I love hearing it. I feel like there's a resurgence in entrepreneurship right now. It seems like, I don't know about you, Otis, but like 5-10 years ago, it seemed like it disappeared a little bit, and it feels like it's coming back again right now.
It did. The pandemic opened up everybody's eyes when
it did.
They maybe lost their job or had to cut back on hours, sitting at home. That's when I opened up my business, in the middle of the pandemic, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Oh man, you were best timing you could have had, in my opinion.
September 15, 2020.
That's awesome. Yeah, so everybody started working on their house, right?
Yeah, exactly. They started working on their house.
Everybody started working. Well, man, I love this conversation. I could go on and on, but I love the ultimate dreams. I got to tell you something. You're on point. You're on point all the way through. You're going to have to invest in real estate. You're digging into everything, including coming on doing a podcast with me, which I appreciate. I love this talk about our kids too. Like I want my kids, when they look back, is like, I'm the guy who stood up in the family. I'm the one who did the damn thing, who took a chance, and I'm the one who made life better. And then, hopefully they'll learn and take the ball and keep running with it. It's not usually, from what I can see and hear, till about the third or fourth generation, till they get too lazy and screw the whole thing up. But first, second, third one out the gate typically betters the father, the father. Which is what you want. You don't want your kids to hit your level or beneath. You want them to better you.
The better me, yeah. That's my goal. I want my kids, whatever they want to do, if it's roofing, real estate, going, whatever they want to do, I want them just to be way more successful than what their old man is.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I sound like we've done, doing fine, but some part of me wants them to not have to work as hard, and part of me wants them to work their butts off. I can't decide where I want them to be. I don't want them to be just some lazy kid.
I want them to work for what they have. Yeah,
work for what they have, but enjoy it, but not have the fear that they're going to go homeless.
Like that. And you know what? you're right, because you want to shelter and protect your kids, but that what drives me is fear of losing it all, the fear of looking in my account and seeing zeros.
Yeah.
It happened to me before, and I said I'd never be in this position again. And just all my life, I always worked hard for everything, but I understand what you're saying. I want my kids to understand how to make the dollar. I want to understand how to save the dollar. I want to understand how to invest the dollar. I just don't want them just to know how to spend the dollar.
Yeah. Early on in my life, I was I never was homeless, but man, I was close a bunch of times when I was young and didn't have any support. But that's the stuff you want to save them from. But I don't think you have to have homelessness fear on the table to work your butt off either. I don't think like a lot of these guys weren't like that, like Elon or Bill Gates. These guys weren't scared about being homeless. They still worked their tails off,
they did.
Yeah.
Nolan Walker here for DataPins, DATAPINS. That's datapins.com. It is software that was literally made for a roofer for ultimate organic domination. You can put it on every phone you have out in the field. There's also a desktop version of it. Anybody can use it. It takes 90 seconds. You take up to 6 photos of a job, write a quick caption like roof replacement with GAF HD Timberline shingles. You put in your client's cell phone and or email and tag your roof replacement page and your city page and hit pin. It automatically grabs the geo coordinates, wraps it in schema. Looks like a red pin drop, but to Google it looks like a digital hand raise. Hey Google, we were here. By the way, here's several photos of the job, which by the way count as unique content. And here's what we did, a roof replacement with GAF HD Timberline shingles. Also, it posts back to the Google account itself with the caption and the photos, and it shoots an email and text back to the client saying, please review us on Google or BBB with a couple of links and choices of review sites. All this is awesome stuff. So now regularly, imagine having this done 30 times, 50 times a month, and Google sees fresh content, fresh pictures, fresh geo coordinates. Even if a client doesn't leave you a review, which 9 out of 10 probably won't, every client becomes valuable to you at this point because you're getting valuable organic signaling. A geo coordinate as a digital hand raise, this validates your map area, and with fewer reviews helps you go into the PAC3 map rankings. It also expands the amount of times a map can show up because of the organic keywords, and the keywords help the organic underneath the map show up as well. DataPins is simply fantastic. It makes blogging look horrible. This is the type of signaling that helps people get dominant on Google. And if you've never gotten dominant on mapping and organic and reputation reviews on Google, you've got to try DataPins. Look it up, datapins.com. If you're interested, call us or email us. We'll see you later.
Well, man, I appreciate it. So anything I got, you got any advice for any of these guys? Let's say somebody's not doing well today, or they're thinking about starting up roofing. You got any advice that you would bless them with? What do you think they need to hear or do? I know some stuff I'd tell them to do, but what do you think, Otis, about
I say a guy who's starting out with any company or especially roofing company, because a lot of money is transferring through your account. So first thing I tell guys who I talk to is first get a good CPA, right?
You're right.
Yeah, get a good CPA.
That's my dad. I agree. Good one, man.
Yeah, CPA and bookkeeper, and understand about taxes, right? Because you're gonna have to pay them taxes at the end of the year.
Right.
And they get shocked and their eyes get big, like they scared. Like I was gonna tell them something about, how to market. No, that's the first thing you need to do. That's your foundation right there, right?
Right.
That's the foundation, because a lot of companies go out of business because of what I just told you. They didn't take care of that up front.
They didn't get no leads, and they didn't budget their money and pay their taxes.
They ain't budgeting.
They'll come padlock your door if you don't pay your payroll taxes.
They
literally.
Yeah. And I had to pay my first year close to like $80,000, but I had it to pay, and I felt good paying it, right? And It was, but that was my foundation. I always knew that because of my other business that I own that failed, that succeeded and failed. I knew the foundation would have to be have your money ready for Uncle Sam.
Yeah, Otis, I mean, seriously, you're on point on a level that I hadn't heard in a long. So leads, sales, finances. So you got to be able to manage your money and all that. I see people damn near close up shop when the season's over. They can't ride from December to March. You know, they can't even make it till the spring. You got to think about it. You know,
you do got to think about it. And like you got to, like, a lot of people think you could get into the roofing game with $5,000 or no money at all, right? But like you said, come when it's slow period, you've been robbing Peter to pay Paul all the way through, and then taxes come, or you know, you payroll tax, whatever the case may be, then you don't have the money. I was blessed. I was fortunate where I didn't take any money out the business for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Everything I made, I put it back in the business, and I had a nice savings.
Nest egg, a little nest egg.
Yeah, nest egg that I paid my bills and everything, because I knew I had to build up my income where when things get slow or something big happen, or I got to pay this, that I have this money, we can still move on. And that really helped me out. Like I said, it just came with age. I'm 46 years old. You know, if I was 25 or 23, I wouldn't have been thinking the same way at all.
No, it isn't. I wasn't either. I got one that I'll add in on this. So it's something I've been wanting to say to people. If you have if you need people to help you, but if you have somebody that you can't do without because you're scared, because you don't know that position, that's something you need to get after right now. So if you're running a business and you don't know how to sell or door knock or deal with your finances, or handle your leads or whatever, and you're scared about it and it gives you some level of fear, you need to overcome that and learn that position well enough where if that person disappeared, you don't feel vulnerable. These are parts of your business that you know you need to work on. I talk about a guy a lot, Jordan Peterson, I think, and he but you got to take care of that fear. You got to move down that road. You've got to go through, and if you know, that's what he said. You know what you need to be doing. If you look at yourself in the mirror, say, Nolan, you just go stare. You know, what are you deficient in right now? What aren't you doing well enough? And you can come up with the number one thing if you're honest with yourself, just like that. And most people don't do that. Like, I know I need to go door knock. I know I need to go get my dominant on Google. I know I need to get into my bank account once a month, minimum, once every week, pull it up, see where the hell I am. Job cost. But,
no, I mean, that you 100% right. And I always knew that that's what I needed to do as far as, you know, bookkeeping, make sure everything is good. But, you know, and then I always tell guys this, that, you know, besides that foundation right there that I said is always be transparent and always keep the lines of communication with your customer. All those reviews I got, every job didn't go right smooth. I had a couple of jobs where the customer was mad, was pissed off, but I picked up the phone when they called, and I knew they was unhappy, but I made it right.
Right.
And they ended up writing a 5-star review because I picked up the phone. I didn't ignore them. You know, a thing that we used to say as an adjustor, and I learned that being an adjustor, they said, the longer you keep the fish on the table, the stankier it's gonna get. So that used to be a claim that it was just, you know, you got a claim on your table that the agent in it, a public adjuster in, the homeowner's bad, and you keep just shuffling it to the side, it's gonna get worse and worse. Handle it up front. And that's what I learned as an adjuster. When things ain't right, I stop everything. I handle that right then and there. And the homeowners they so happy that you didn't brush them to the side. They so happy that you stood on your word, that they even happier that the issue happened and you took care of it. Like, they feel more comfortable with your warranty now. Now they like, I feel comfortable with your 5-year labor warranty that you came and handled your business like you said. You corrected what I didn't like. And of course, I would leave a review and give you referrals. I said, wow.
Man, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I think this is an unbelievable good education for people. If you handle the nastiest problems your business has, you're going to correct, do better, come up with procedures, and run your business better. Your business gets better. If you let them go, the business will deteriorate.
It will
deteriorate. So whether it's somebody mad, like a mad client like that's the perfect situation. I mean, no matter, my grandpa used to call it getting too big for your britches. If you start getting your business too big and you think you've delegated that out, that's one thing that makes me upset about business coaching and stuff like that. They'll always say, hey, Otis, hey, Nolan, you need to get to the point to where you don't handle any of that little stuff. It's like, man, that little stuff is the thing that I got to get involved in. They go, Nolan, you don't need to be taking sales call. Hey, if I don't take sales calls, how do I know, what's going on in my own industry? Like, how do I know? But people will tell you, you don't need to do these things. And most of us, Otis and I, there might be like 1 out of 100 of us and I'm talking about the guy who already started the business. So we're already 1 out of, we're already 1 out of 10, right? Because we own our own small business. So you're talking like 1 out of 1,000 guys can go manage a professional organization like it's Chipotle or a McDonald's and like have infrastructure in place. Most of us aren't going to do that with hard labor and service employees, right?
Exactly.
Not going to do it. So you're always involved in your businesses day to day. You might be able to step out and have a little bit of an organization going where you can go on a 2-week vacation. Yeah. But if you just check out and don't come back and pick up the phone, I mean, when they see you, big old boy, barreling in and like, hey, give me that phone. Who's mad? Yes, sir. This is Otis. What's going on over there? No, we're going to help you out. Absolutely. We're going to take care of this. And they go, oh, shoot, the boss, don't mess around. And by the way, we better not do that anymore because he's going to step up into the middle of it,
Yeah.
So
you got to treat it like a marriage. You can't check out the marriage and think things going to go smooth.
You can make the business
work on it
better. Yeah, but you can't, and you can have some processes, but you can't step out entirely.
No, you can't
step out your marriage for a little bit and check out for 2 weeks, as long as you don't do anything too bad. And then like, if you're not tending to business, things are eventually going to go bad, right?
Yeah, it will go bad. So, man.
I love that. Well, man, I don't have anything. Otis, something else about you. You're very succinct. I mean, you know what you're doing on it. I don't think you're going to have anything but success ahead of you. I hope you keep buying these houses and rental homes. Hopefully these interest rates don't go so high that you can't buy one and still turn a profit on the rental. But they'll come back down,
Yeah, they will. And what I tell people, man, if you put your mind to it, you could do it. Don't listen to the naysayers. You're not going to do this. You're not going to play professional football, or you're not smart enough to run a business. Once you learn this, and that. But I overcame all that. Speech impediment, learning disability, everything. And I just, educated and taught myself on important things. I always had great common sense, my mama told me. Right. And with those things, man, and a work ethic, you can do anything in the world. You don't have to be the smartest man in it.
I agree. I had asthma. I had epileptic seizures when I was asleep. From 7 to 14, I was smart enough, but I had some physical stuff going on. And I think it's nice to hear this guy. I really appreciate it when somebody opens up a little bit like this. I was kicked out of my house. I lived in a little shanty shack that had Norwegian mice in it. I killed like 20 mice one night. They sound like little kids getting murdered when the little mousetrap goes. I mean, I've had some stuff happen, but and you have too. Most of us guys have a story. Most entrepreneurs have had adversity. And if I had to leave anybody, I like that story because I felt like I was a baby bird, just those open eyes. You don't know what the world is, you're just staring around. And it's been one experience after another to make me into the man I am today that can stand down, handle business, and know enough to profit and run a good business, and same with you. It sounds like you've one step at a time, have become a great businessman, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's a good lesson for people. And if I did one the other day when I talked about a guy being a punk ass. Punk ass guys aren't competition usually, but all guys are punk asses until they're at least like 25 because they got no experience and they got no confidence. They don't got no confidence because they got no experience, you know?
Yeah.
And so everybody starts out as a punk. If you're looking at somebody that works here say, Nolan, not everybody thinks punk ass is the same thing. I said, I just see it as a green guy that don't know how to run a business, you know, get a date, you know, nothing, just like no experience, no confidence. But that confidence will come after one step of experience after another. And eventually you stand up and say, I'm the man. I'll stand down here. I'll be the boss. I'll start this business. Y'all can follow me. Don't worry about it. I got it handled, you know? But that takes time, don't it? So you're 46, I'm 49.
Yep. Yeah, man, it took time. It was the path that I'm glad I went through, you know?
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it. I'm going to leave it there. Otis, this was man, for me, you got it on point. I don't even have any recommendations for you. I usually leave a situation and tell somebody, hey, I suggest, you know, I might offer this or that, but you got everything down. Just keep doing what you're doing. And man, you're going to be good. It sounds like. I love it. I love the whole thing. Yeah, call me whenever. And just to end up with it, this is Otis Floyd at Paramount Roofing and Consulting. Y'all know why he has consulting in there, because he's been there and absolutely knows. He absolutely consults on the, man, what a deal. I'm assuming you get a lot of extra insurance deals approved that other guys don't get.
Any homeowners out there with Allstate got denied in Georgia, give me a call.
Paramount Roofing Consulting out of Douglasville, Georgia, which I think is just west of Atlanta, right?
Yes, west of Atlanta. Yes.
West, just pretty much in the metro, but kind of its own little city out there. All right, man. I appreciate having you as a client, by the way, Otis. Call anytime. And thank you for coming on the podcast. This has been fantastic.
No, appreciate you for allowing me to join your team. And
oh man,
and I, loyalty is everything to me. So man, I look further into the future doing business.
You're killing it already. It's gonna get better, man. All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Otis. All right.
Yeah.
Later.